art of rebutting. That is 10 marks. Here, debaters will point out the flaws, counter evidence, presenting alternative presentations, okay, while you speak. So these are the criteria which the debaters will be judged. The content, 30 marks, arguments, 20 marks, confidence, 10 marks, presentation skill, 10 marks, and the art of rebutting, 10 marks. So please keep this in mind. And then finally, the last point, the decision of the judges will be final and non-questionable. And after the debate, we're very fortunate and honored to have with us here. We have Rudy Wantri, former ambassador of India, who is also a diplomat. He has been invited by the UDP Youth to be the special guest speaker who will be talking, deliberating on this very important topic, the Uniform Civil Code. Now, without further ado, I think we'll proceed ahead with the debate. So first of all, I would like to call upon the first speaker, Daniela Rimbai, who will speak for the motion. The motion is Uniform Civil Code is a threat to secularism, plurality, minority rights, and religion. So speakers, please keep in mind the time frame that we have given you. At the end of the 4th minute, the warning bell will be sounded, and the final bell will be at the end of the 5th minute. So Daniela Rimbai now will speak for the motion.
A very good afternoon, Honorable Speaker Sir, respected judges, and all the participants, teachers, and everyone present here. My name is Daniela, and I will be speaking for the motion. As we are all aware, UCC is one of the controversial subjects that's being debated in India today. As we all know that UCC sets on the ideas of personal laws that reflects on divorce, marriages, and then adoption, succession, and so on and so forth. However, UCC, in my opinion, personally, I feel that it affects not only just the personal matters of the citizens of India, but mostly also on the religious platforms that the citizens of India have. The UCC implements the idea of one nation and one law. However, this is not applicable in a country like India because, as you all are aware, India is a diverse country. There are many religions, people from different backgrounds, caste, religion, culture, and so on and so forth that celebrates their individuality. Therefore, I feel that the implementation of the UCC will hurt the sentiments of each and every citizens of India. One thing that we should take note is that the beauty of India is that it shares the differences that all the people share in the nation. Therefore, with the implementation of the UCC, it targets the minorities, the sentiments of the minorities especially, such as the Christians, the Muslims, the Sikhs, and the Jains as well. As you all know, India, there are 110 crores of Hindus in India. By implementing the UCC, it not only targets just the minorities, but also it targets India as a whole. It targets the sentiments of these people living in India. India has been a secular country from the start. From its emergence, India is already a secular country. Therefore, when looking at from the international forum, India is a very diverse country, and with the implementation of UCC, we will not be able to celebrate our differences under the umbrella of being an Indian citizens. As Amit Shah, the Home Minister himself, has mentioned in July 7, that with the implementation of UCC, it will not interfere with the Christian states such as Nagaland. But how? We have to question, we have to keep in mind, how can it be incorporated when it cannot be implemented in all states of the country? That is something that we have to keep in mind. UCC does not only target just the religion, but the tradition, but also the language, one nation and one language. However, in my opinion, I feel that one language cannot represent India. If Hindi language has the potential to represent India, then similarly every other language that is born in this soil has the same potential to represent India. Similarly, it touches on the traditions of the people as well. Like us, the Khasis, the tribals, we celebrate different tradition dances such as the Shatsukman Sim, the Betingkham, and so on and so forth. With the implementation of the UCC, I personally feel that all of these will be abolished. Therefore, we cannot preserve our tradition and our culture. Therefore, once we lose our identity, once we lose our language, our culture, and our tradition, we will also lose the status of being citizens of India. Therefore, in my personal opinion, I feel that with the implementation of UCC, it does not necessarily means only touches the attacks or the secularism, the framework of secularism of the Constitution of India, but also India as a whole. One thing that we have to keep in mind when it comes to such a debate is that we as citizens of India, especially the northeastern states of India, one thing that connects us with the preamble, one thing that connects us with the mainland India is the Constitution. That is what binds us together as Indian citizens. And with the coming and the implementation of UCC, it will therefore abolish everything. We as citizens of India have to say no. We do not have to agree to what everything the government says. We already have so much of issues that are not even being touched upon when it comes to minorities like us. Therefore, I feel that once India incorporated this law, we as the northeastern states, we will lose all of our identity, all of our religious beliefs especially, once this has been incorporated. Therefore, I would like to conclude my speech by saying that with the introduction of this Uniform Civil Code, it is a threat to secularism, plurality, minority rights, and religion as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniela, for your remark. Now I'll call upon the next speaker, the leader of opposition from Shillong Law College, Dhanishwar Depna. Dhanishwar, please.
A very good afternoon to respected judges and respected speakers and opposition participants here and all other audience here. I am Dhanishwar Devnath, representing Shillong Law College, and pertaining to the issue UCC is a threat for minorities, secularism and plurality and religion. I am completely against this because I do not think it's going to be a threat anyhow, because just now the speaker speak about the secularism and all these things. To understand this concept of UCC, we should understand how UCC developed. Whether UCC should be there or not, this debate has been gone before 1948, because that's why it's introduced under Article 44, which is a DPSP of Indian Constitution. And DPSP means, as per the Article 37, that they will play fundamental roles in the administration. And which Article 44 clearly says that state shall endeavor, means state will try to introduce a UCC for protection of the citizen of India. Now coming to this, to understand what is UCC, let's explain this UCC is. UCC means Uniform Civil Code. Code means class codification of laws, and where we are talking about civil matter basically like contract, property laws, all these are civil matters. But while we are talking about UCC, we are particularly directed towards the family laws, which include adoption, marriage, divorce, all these things. Now come to the term uniform. Uniform is not common, you have to understand. There is a particular difference between uniform and common. Common means one and same in all circumstances, whereas uniform means Now, according to this, Supreme Court of India in many cases starting from Shahabanu case, 1985, Sakurimala case and all other cases, Supreme Court has directed the state government that they should think about UCC, they should be UCC. So this is the importance of UCC because of the only to eliminate the discrimination of the society. In the name of the religion, in the name of the custom, we cannot discriminate with our own people. Now pertaining to the issue of secularism, actually secularism can be bring only through UCC. What is the concept of secularism? Secularism means state shall not give any preference to any religion. State will be state neutral on a particular issue. So secularism doesn't mean to give preference to a particular religion, to a particular custom, to particular. However, in constitution we have a lot of exceptions like Shiksha related or other. Exception should be there, but two means of secularism will be introduced through UCC. Coming to the point is a minority threat. It's not about minority threats. I would like to say minority threat only will come where majority will impose something towards the minority. But UCC will impact each and everyone, not only majority also, in many Hindu laws also. It will be like this. So pertaining to the issue, I would like to say that civil laws are already implemented. Many civil laws are there. Like Goa is a very shining example, as Judge Palo case is mentioned by the Supreme Court. Goa is a shining example of UCC where 66% people are Hindus, Christian are 25% and Muslim are 8.33%. So this is a shining example and we can adopt this. However, I am asking this question, I am putting to us all audience, if without discriminating your culture, your tradition, if UCC is broad, shall not we agree just to give justice and equality to our own people? With this I am concluding. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dhanishwar Devnak. Now I will call upon the next speaker who will speak for the motion from Shillong Commerce College, Mon Mame Khan.
A very good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir, my worthy opponent, and all present here. I stand here to support the motion to today's debate. Uniform civil code is a threat to secularism, plurality, minority rights, and religion. On a factual point, let me begin by saying that we, the people of Northeast India, we should not bear the brunt of the mainland India. A simple word, that is, UCC should not be imposed upon the minority section. What is being practiced by the majority? Next, one must not miss out the constitution existing in this country, which built the modern India. My forefathers, for example, Dr. Ambedkar, Jawaharlal Nehru. So now, Mrs. Speaker, if UCC is imposed, it's to be against the basic norm and the presuppositions which have God itself to make India in this constitution of diversity, unity, federalism, secularism, and so on. Now, in one of the principles of the Panchila, which had laid down by former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru in 1957, he said that nothing should be imposed on tribal people. They must be allowed to develop along the line of their genes. We should try to encourage to stand in their own culture, arts and culture. So I find what my worry point is about secularism. Let me clear the fact. I find a problem with this speech. Why? Because prior, the lawmaker of our constitutions, they saw that our country is a multi-religious country. So they thought that our country had to be a secular state, but not uniform civil code will solve this problem. Why? Because secularism in the sense that it should embrace the other religions. That means in the sense that all religions, that means in front of God, in front of God, all religions are equal. Don't you think that? Don't you think that? So Mr. Speaker, sir, Article 25, 20 constitutions, it clearly guarantees religious freedoms and it also allows religious groups to maintain their own affairs. When you talk about plurality, plural democracy is an identity of our modern India. Therefore, efforts
resulting not in by blanket university for flourishing democracy. So now, moving on, I think that, you see, India is a diverse country. So it is not just a melting pot. It is more like a combo, right? Each flavor has an ingredient, unique texture, distinct purpose, right? So why this uniform civil code? Do you really think that this uniform civil code will solve the problems that we face now? Do you really think that? I hope not. Why? See, even people within the same religion, they have different ideologies, right? They have different opinions. They have their aspirant, their attitudes, like even the statuses, so they cannot be one, right? So don't you think this, that instead of UCC, the government must provide a platform so that all diverse communities come together, right, as one, so that there is a genuine interaction across cultural learning, right? So such an initiative will forge a better understanding all communities. Imagine that, but not uniform civil code, right? If all the besties, they respect each other, celebrate each other, then it would be, imagine a country should be peaceful instead of just war. To be concluded, Mr. Speaker, sir, I therefore stand to vehemently oppose any threat, be it modern Western imperialistic or the Indian majority values, which is not incompatible, also pose a threat to a tribal community. As Article 224(2) of the Constitution of the Schedule, that it will greatly affect the autonomous district council, the power which given the power of legislate over several matters such as land use, marriage, personal laws, succession, etc. Now, Mr. Speaker, sir, I therefore urge that my worthy opponents not to fuel this argument by misinterpreting, misleading the crowd. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ïaka. Now I'll call upon the next speaker from the same college, Shillong Commerce College, Pynlong, who will speak against the motion.
Uniform civil code is not a bad idea. Uniform civil code must be implemented directly towards attaining gender just laws within religious and cultural communities, and it is the idea to reform from within. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, sir, my worthy opponents, and everyone present here. I stand here today to oppose the motion and to present my views against it. Mr. Speaker, sir, without uniform civil code, labeling India as a secular nation is just an illusion. Article 44 clearly states that the state shall endeavor a citizen uniform civil code within the territory of India. This provides a framework of a single united set of personal code for all the citizens, irrespective of their religion. Mr. Speaker, sir, the motion states that uniform civil code is a threat to secularism, to plurality, to minority rights, and to religion. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, I will assure you that UCC should not be treated as a threat, but as a solution. Why? Because UCC only focuses on 4 main subjects, which is marriage, divorce, succession, and adoption. Nothing else. It will not come in between the life of a man or a woman of any religion. Also, Mr. Speaker, sir, if the UCC is enforced, it will be able to fix the legal age marriage and abolish bigamy, and also resolve issues of interfaith marriages with ease. Also, Mr. Speaker, sir, UCC provides equal status to every citizen, which is as promised in Article 14 of the Constitution, saying equality before the law. it promotes real secularism. As I have stated before, that labeling India as a secular system is just an illusion. But UCC can change that. It can make it true. It can make secularism true, because all citizens will be treated the same, will be treated as equals. Even Dr. B.R. Ambedkar favored the UCC in parliamentary debates as it aims to provide equality to all the section of the society. Also, the LGBT community plus will also get special marriage rights, and they will not have any problems with the opposition from same-sex marriage. So I would like to conclude, Mr. Speaker sir, that in the year 1995, the court filed an affidavit that indicates the steps and efforts taken by the government for securing uniform civil code for the citizens of India. This was given by the court while dealing with a case where the question of consideration was whether a Hindu husband married under the Hindu law after conversion to Islam, even without abolishing his before dissolving his first marriage. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilarissa Pynlong. Now I'll call upon the next speaker who will speak for the motion from Shillong Law College, Morantiel Saka. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Yeah. Morantiel Saka, Shillong Law College.
Thank you. A worthy opponents mentioned about directive principles of state policies. Now, India has been endeavoring for quite some time now. What may be the reason, members of the House? Portuguese, Goa, the Uniform Civil Code of Goa has been there before the independence of India, and before the framers, before the Constitution of India came into being. And now, okay. Mr. Speaker, respective judges, members of the House, my name is Morantiel Saka, and today I stand here to strongly move forward the motion given here. The motion given here, Mr. Speaker, Uniform Civil Code is a threat to secularism, plurality, minority rights, and religion. Mr. Speaker, we can primarily understand civil code as a set of laws which concerns personal matters. Mr. Speaker, with regret and a little bit of tears in my eyes, Mr. Speaker, 110% uniform civil code is and will be a threat to the diversified society of India, to the microscopic communities of India, to the idea of secularism of India, and to the faith and belief of the citizens of India, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, and now not only that, it attacks and it questions the basic structure of the Constitution. It directly attacks the preamble of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, Part 3 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, and that is what I call UCC as unconstitutional civil code, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, even though a blueprint or a bill has not been placed, the way UCC has been discussed in various platforms and even in the Parliament has led each and every one of us question the way it has been discussed, Mr. Speaker. Now, if we are to consider Article 44 DPS, the directive principles of state policies, Mr. Speaker, Speaker, are we not consider Article 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 of the Indian Constitution? Are we not importantly consider Article 15, Article 14 and 15 of the Indian Constitution? Are we also not importantly consider Section 1, Section 2 and Section 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Are we also not to consider goal number 10, goal number 16 of Sustainable Development Goals? Are we also not to consider all the international covenants where India is a signatory, where India has ratified in various international covenants and conventions, Mr. Speaker? And also importantly, considering the United Nations Charter, it is greatly important when we frame any and all acts and statutes that is for the welfare, well-being and development of our society, Mr. Speaker. Now, the Supreme Court in various cases has suggested and opined that the Parliament and the state should bring forward uniform civil code and should bring into picture but how it has failed from Shah Banu's case. It has failed, and now till today it has failed. Why it has failed? Because it attacks, as I've mentioned, it attacks, it questions the preamble, it questions the basic structure, it questions our fundamental rights, it violates our it violates the rights of the minorities, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, now it is greatly important that we talk about uniformity in rights and not uniform civil code. Because in the arbitrary Triple Talaq case, now anything that attacks the basic structure of the Constitution, it is dealt with utmost care. Now, as per the 2018 Law Commission, it is mentioned that the Law Commission has also even opined that after analysis, UCC may not be necessary also. But however, it can be implemented based after various procedures, strategies are implemented. Now, inheritance also is a very important aspect. Now, friends, are we ready to give all away our traditions, our customs, our cultures? Now, and one important agenda is about inheritance. Now, inheritance, a land which is directly connected with our identity, with our roots. Now, are we ready to, are we all ready to compromise and do away with that? Now, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, this may be a bit political. However, now we also have to see from which force this UCC is coming, from which part is this UCC being, and which are the communities, which are the population, which they are against UCC. This is greatly important, Mr. Speaker. In conclusion, UCC should be dealt with utmost care, and while establishing it should be carefully put forward. I raise my case. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Atiar Saka. Just want to request the debaters here to kindly note the time given. Now I'll call upon the next speaker who will speak against the motion from Sankardev College, Barisha Kharsotul. Barisha Kharsotul from Sankardev College will speak against the motion.
Very good afternoon to Mr. Speaker, sir, dear respected judges, the members and participants, teachers, and everyone present here today. I am here to speak against the motion that is Uniform Civil Code is a threat to secularism. I would like to start with a question. Do you know why the Constitution of India is the lengthiest? I think it is because it takes into consideration of all the thoughts, ideas and sentiments of the citizens of our nation. That is the reason why it is the lengthiest. And to throw some light on UCC is not a new law that our ruling government wants to implement. But I'm very sure it was that 75 years have passed. Before implementing the Constitution of India, this UCC was on debate. It was since then they tried to implement this law, but they did not, because as there are 3 concurrent lists in our Constitution of India, and concurrent list, Uniform Civil Code is in the concurrent list, which means that the central and state have to agree if they want to implement this act or they can't. Because when you come to that, it's the reason why is because the citizens have to agree if the law should be implemented or not. They can oppose or they can agree to it. So this is the reason why we can still say that India is a secular nation, because it provides us the equality, the freedom to speak freely and to point out our views on anything that before implementing any laws. To us, it does not, the central does not enforce the laws. It's not enforcing us to, yes, that you should accept the uniform civil code. No, but we still have the right to oppose uniform civil code. And like my opponent has said that religion is not even a part of this, because as you can see, like my friend has stated, UCC only covers 4 main topic, that is marriage, divorce, and gender caste, right? And then there is, as you can see, it focuses only on 4 topics, that is marriage, divorce, adoption, inheritance. And when we speak on marriage, I would say that we've also talked about talaq, triple talaq. It is part of a religion, a belief of Islam, which even the Islamic country has demolished that act way back. That is, imagine you as a daughter of this country, you are not getting the equal rights. You are depriving Muslims or Islam. They are also citizens of India, and I think they also deserve equality and justice. Imagine you and your boyfriend been dating for so long, and your family are involved with that. Imagine if suddenly we have an argument on something like using Facebook and all that, and he will say, and he comes to you and say, break up. Would you agree to that? I don't think you will agree, because you'll be fighting over days, months, years. That is not equality. And you can see, imagine marriage is very secret. You can't just do that. You can, and Islam promotes having 2-3 partners. I think we should demolish that. And when it comes to secularism, you see our nation reflects secularism in every states or region. We are here able to speak freely on this topic because we have secularism, and we have the right to talk freely and give our opinions or ideas or thoughts. So before I take a seat, I want to give one thought for all of you to think of in a positive outlook. Take a positive outlook to conclude. I'll just conclude with I don't think there's yet one valid reason why student form civil code is a threat to secularism of our country.
Thank you, Darsha. Now I will call upon the next speaker from Sinop College, Badontor Marpanya, who will speak for the motion.
A very good afternoon to everyone present here, especially respected speaker sir, our chief guest, and to all the judges, and also my opponent who is present here. So as this topic states that Uniform Civil Code is a threat to secularism, plurality, minority rights and religion. I stand here to talk only about facts. Okay, first and foremost. Now, laws and translation. Laws and translation you already mean, or it already means that with the imposing of UCC, now we all have to talk in one language, that is maybe Hindi or I don't know what else. So yeah, Hindi is not really familiar with us, especially Khasis and so many of them. Suppose now, when we're talking about UCC, we're talking about the Uniform Civil Code. The Uniform Civil Code is already what our Modi ji has said. Our Prime Minister has already said that one nation, one law. Okay. One nation, one law. What does that one nation, one law means? One nation, one law. It applies to all, even to the minority group. It applies. And you know, as for us who are tribals over here, if the UCC is being imposed, that means you are already, I don't know, you're already somewhere else. Because why? UCC is a very, very, very vast topic to be discussed about, and it's also a topic that is actually very, very, you know, like very, very topic that I really don't know how to explain it that much. UCC, you already know civil uniform code and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm starting to talk facts now. So suppose now if the UCC is being imposed, we are being applied to, because it is uniform, right? So we are being applied, and we have to always obey. Suppose now, what our opponent has said that it mainly focuses on 4 things, and those 4 things are marriage, docility, adoption, etc. So now, yes, we are agree what and UCC has been implemented. So now and what our opponent has also said that it does not even affect at all. So can we believe, what if our Prime Minister one day will suddenly impose a very strict law and we have to abide with that? Can we actually change that? No, it has already been implemented. We cannot do anything. So we have to act now or never. It's now. We have the time to already say no to UCC. So we have to always say no. It's not that we'll say later and we'll regret entire life. If the UCC has been imposed, we cannot stand and cry like this for the entire life. And also, what will be saying to our kids later on? We'll be saying like, and at that time we'll not be wearing like our traditional costumes and so on. We'll be wearing sari. At that time you're wearing jainsian and so on. And now, what about? Now we're wearing sari instead of what? Instead of the traditional jainsian, which are very beautiful. So, and also not only that, our customs. Where will our customs go? Our customs will be in the air, vanish. Boom. Why? Because of the fact it has already, the UCC has already been implemented, and you cannot do once. You already know our Prime Minister is very powerful. Once he said do this, we have to do this. He will impose many sections and so on. I wonder why he hasn't even raised a question on Manipur. He hasn't even visited Manipur. He's busy in his UCC. Why? Because of the fact that he wants to impose this, and he does not want. Let me tell you just one incident. I was scrolling through my Twitter, and I saw this advertisement that says, okay, thank you so much.
Now I'll call upon the next speaker from Shillong College, who will speak against a motion. Rilem Daimari, Shillong College.
A very good afternoon, dear respected speakers, and respected judges and my worthy opponents, and also all the people, ladies and gentlemen present out here in the house. Today I stand here to discuss about the topic UCC, which is Uniform Civil Code, and I wouldn't like to reiterate the meaning of UCC because we are all in touch by now. We have been coming through a lot of debates from TVs, from news channels, and of course today we are having a huge debate here. So therefore, I wouldn't like to mention what is UCC again, but I would like to say what is the goal. What are the goals of UCC? So the goal of UCC is to secure equal rights, treatment of all people, for all people, within a single legal framework. So it does not strive to impose a single religion, as our worthy opponent has mentioned about religious contents, but to tell you, it does not strive to impose any one religion or one law, but rather it has come upon to harmonize our diverse culture. We Indians, we believe that we have a multi-diverse. We are from a multi-diverse country. We have different speaking languages. We have customs. We have traditions. But UCC is not all about to destroy, to take over Khasi tribe, to take over Garo tribe, or any such kind of tribes. But what does it bring is to harmonize, is to bring under one law. I'll tell you.
Thank you, D.R. Sinha. Now I'll call upon the next speaker from St. Anthony's College, Debarkha Sarkar, who will speak against the motion. Debarkha Sarkar, St. Anthony's College.
Good afternoon, respected speakers and all the members present here in the house today. First and foremost, I would like to explain why I think UCC is discriminatory against women. Now, first of all, let us take the example of Sharia law, which is the Muslim personal law. In this law, we see that a girl child can get married as soon as she reaches puberty. It is written in the law that if a girl child reaches puberty, she can get married. That is, a girl can get married at 12 years of old, 13 years of old, and 14 years of old. And we have seen how the majority men in the community have used this law unlawfully to get married. Nobody can say anything because it is written in their personal law. Isn't that a discrimination to the fundamental rights of women? I have heard the Treasury bench talk about Article 25 and saying that, it gives us the right to practice our customs and religion. Yes, we can practice our customs and religion, but we all religious rights and our religious freedom should not curb somebody else's fundamental rights. That girl's fundamental rights have been curbed. Under the Sharia law, again, it is written that a girl child can only inherit 1/3 of the land that the man inherits. 1/3 of the land. Isn't that discriminating towards women? Coming from a matrilineal society, we should understand how much the women have been discriminated for so many years, and we still stand here and say the personal law should continue as it has been continued for so long. The Shahbanu law, the Shahbanu case is a landmark case in the history of Indian legal system. We see the Shahbanu was divorced by his husband because he wanted to marry another woman. He divorced his wife, who was 62 years of age. She did not have any money. She did not have any financial stability. She depended on her husband. She asked her husband, "Give me maintenance because I need it." Her husband said that according to the Sharia law, I'll just give you maintenance for 3 months. There is usually the period. That poor woman was dragged to court. She had to go to the court to ask for maintenance. The Supreme Court in 1985 ruled in her favor, but the then-led government challenged the court's favor and changed the law, saying the women's protection right. They said women's protection. They passed a law called the women's protection right that clearly stated the Muslim man has to give maintenance to a divorced woman for only 3 months. Isn't that discrimination? If the opposition today, if the Treasury bench today is for women's right, then they also have to support uniform civil code. As for the matter of bigamy, if anybody else practices bigamy from any other religion, they are directly under IPC 194, which says that if you marry somebody else, you are directly under the law. But under Sharia law, if a Muslim man marries another woman, then he's under the protection of this law and he's over IPC 194. Isn't that inequality? Why aren't we talking about that when we stand here today? I heard the Treasury bench talking about UCC being one language, one country. I don't know where they heard this never have I ever heard the Uniform Civil Code speaking about one land, one language. Where did you hear that? I don't know. Secondly, I would like to talk about secularism. UCC ensures that the secular fabric of this nation continues because it ensures that no law should be influenced by any particular religion. Why is it that even after being a secular nation, in around 1985, the Rajiv Gandhi-led government overturned the Supreme Court's judgment and gave 3 months of maintenance for that Muslim woman? Why is it that? Why are we not talking about that? Isn't it the responsibility of the state to protect the rights of the young girls who are getting married under the Sharia law? These are the hard-hitting questions that we need to ask ourselves. If you do not ask these questions today, then these women will continue to be dragged, continue to be discriminated against. And you still sit here and debate and make jokes about this topic, which is so important and so discriminatory to the women's rights. You talk about it. Secondly, pluralism. When it comes to pluralism, I don't think Uniform Civil Code is going to go against pluralism. Everybody is granted the right to follow and pursue their own religion. If I'm a Hindu, I can practice my marriages, whatever customs I want to. If I'm a Khasi, I can wear my jayanti and get married. I don't know where they heard that you have to wear sari if you want to get married in Khasi. I don't know. This is serious form of misleading the audience. Uniform Civil Code only pertains to law that are civil in that matter. If inheritance is unequal, there should be a law so that that girl who is not getting proper inheritance can go and challenge the court. Under the law, she cannot go and challenge the court. Hence, we need Uniform Civil Code so that for civil matters as in adoption, inheritance, divorce and marriage, women get equal right. And not only women, there should be equality. Let us join hands in creating a society that is not only secular, that is also equal towards women. Thank you.
Thank you, Jabarha Sardar. Now I'll call upon the next speaker from St. Anthony's College, who will speak for the motion. Mela Kyrwoh Shisha Rana. Mela Kyrwoh Shisha Rana. From St. Anthony's College.
Good afternoon, everyone present here. Honorable Speaker, I stand here to speak for the motion. Uniform Civil Code is a threat to secularism, plurality, morality, rights, and religion. Imagine a situation where everyone in this hall is made to eat the same type of food, made to dress in the same way, forced to listen to the same type of music, and be given the same type of social media feeds. That, in the essence, is what the Uniform Civil Code is trying to do in this country. It is an attempt to obliterate the vast diversity in the culture, in the ethnicity, and the religion of India. It is a very one-size-fits-all approach. Even among the opposition bench, with all due respect, the arguments that they have presented have no uniformity. They have taken different measures. They have talked about different things while opposing this. If there is no uniformity among them, how do you expect there to be uniformity among millions of people in this country? Even within the base unit of society, in a family, every family member cannot be generalized. There are core fundamental principles. They have differences in those. So how do we expect every Indian citizen from every religious order, every ethnicity with very different beliefs to be ruled under one personal law? I'm sure the House is aware that currently the personal laws are governed not just by religious beliefs and culture, but also by laws which were originally enacted and ratified by Parliament. Implementing the Uniform Civil Code would take away these laws such as the Hindu Marriage Act, the Hindu Succession Act, the Muslim Marriage Act, Indian Christian Marriage Act, the Parsi Marriage and Divorce Act. All of these laws would be null and void. And these laws are the ones that ensure people, the individuals, the freedom to practice their religion without any government or state interference. To remove these laws would be removing a safety net from all the people. There are a lot of shortcomings in the Uniform Civil Code, and I do not have the time to list them all, but I will name a few. Personal laws are deeply rooted in religious, social, and cultural traditions, and they are essential to protect the distinctive identities of minorities. If these personal laws were to be taken away, we would be taking away the identities of the minorities. The opposition bench, I'm sure, has many views against this, and the thing is, a lot of people argue, they say that even among there were many dissenters in the Constituent Assembly who who believed that the Uniform Civil Code should have been implemented. But the fact remains that in the wisdom of the Constituent Assembly, they felt that there was no need to make the Uniform Civil Code compulsory to begin with. It is unrealistic and even foolish to believe that minorities, whether religious or ethnic, should be silent and compliant when this basic structure of the Constitution is being taken away from them. They feel like their faith, their way of life is being snatched away from them. And there's also the issue of social unrest. All over this country, right now, we see social unrest, we see conflict, and despite the government's best efforts, it has not been resolved. The government is not willing to resolve it. Why would it add further fuel to the fire by implementing this Uniform Civil Code right now? More so when people do not seem to want it. Even here in Meghalaya, there is fierce opposition to the Uniform Civil Code. Every single day, the newspapers are full of news reports talking about how these political organizations, these groups, these political parties, they issue these press statements against the Uniform Civil Code. Mr. Speaker, sir, can't the opposition bench read the newspapers? Can't they see the writing on the wall that this experiment is doomed to be a failure? Even the 21st Law Commission in August of 2018, after years of research, decreed that it was not necessary. I do believe that change is needed. Change leads to growth and development, but change should be backed by reason. If change is implemented too abruptly, it will cause dissatisfaction, dissension, and discord. Rather than implementing this Uniform Civil Code all over, I would suggest that we slowly amend the problematic parts of the various personal laws, because personal laws are not absolute, they are amendable. They have been amended before and they can certainly be amended. The Uniform Civil Code it seems very rigid to some people, and if it were to be implemented, a lot of people will find loopholes and bypasses, and that will cause further problems. Therefore, I appeal to the House to pass this motion with a resounding majority. Uniform Civil Code is a threat to secularism, plurality, religion, rights, and morality. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Shisharna from St. Andrews College. Now I'll call upon the next speaker from Sinat College who will speak against the motion, Pynlong Ujon.
The stage, a very good afternoon, my dear speaker, honorable speaker, judges, and to all my worthy opponent and you all. In the Article 44, Part 4 of the Indian Constitution, it states that there shall be an endeavor. The state shall endeavor a security, secure to the people of the Indian throughout the territory of the Indian. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't see that this Uniform Civil Code is a threat to minority rights, to secularism, plurality, and religious. Let me tell you, before I explain how it does not threat, let me bring back to the past where we've been in the year 18th and 19th, where we've been colonized by the British. You see, when we've been colonized by the British have given us how does the British colonize us? They give this system divide and rule. Divide and rule in the Indian. Since then, there's been a discrimination in religion, caste, sex, gender, and extra. And so there's been a discrimination. Then Dr. Ïaka have drafted this Uniform Civil Code. You see that there's been a discrimination against sex, gender, and religiously. So this Uniform Civil Code very perfectly, so that in the later on, since India has given the independence, so that there will be no discrimination against any of these. So after that, let me tell you, sorry. I would like to give a fact to my worthy opponent that where have you heard that this Uniform Civil Code is one law, one nation? Yes, that's right. But from where do you heard that we have to speak one language and one culture and everything? That is the theory of fraud. And one more point is that how you speak about gender, secularism, and everything. So this is you want about gender equality, right? So why they against about this equality? This topic. You speak about one nation. You speak about one. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Langbuja. Now I'll call upon the next speaker from Shillong College, who will be speaking for the motion. Pynlong. For the motion, right?
Good afternoon, respected speakers, sir, judges, chief guests, and my fellow contestants. My name is Pynlong and I shall be speaking for the motion. The Uniform Civil Code has been a topic of discussion since a decade or so, but now it has come to the forefront because it is to be materialized into existence. And in India, people are governed by personal laws in relating to marriage, divorce, adoption, and the UCC aims to be a one-on-one replacement to all this issue across all religions and across all communities. But in my opinion, this is a hindrance to the personal choice of individual, which is influenced not only by the religion, but also by the religious scriptures they read. This seems like a right-wing ideology to be achieved by the center towards one nation, one religion, one language, and to dissolve which itself to be a nation of diversity, to be united in diversity. And to say that this law is a uniform law is also not true, because the brunt of the brunt of this law is felt differently against different community. For example, if polygamy is abolished, then the Hindu woman will not be affected, because according to the Hindu Marriage Act, polygamy is done. But for Muslim women who are under this law, who is under the polygamy relationship, the second, third, and the fourth wife shall be deemed as illegal, and they shall no longer enjoy the rights that they enjoyed beforehand. And regarding our state in general, I feel that the UCC is a threat to the sovereignty of not only the 6th schedule but also to the ADC that has been established, because our state and Northeastern state in general has been a state that is quite different from every other mainland state. That is why even when the constitution was being drafted, the Northeastern state was put under the 6th schedule, because the center knew that they will not be able to handle all the issues of the tribals because they are unique only to the tribals. But now, this very ADC that is standing there for the protection of our culture is being threatened by the UCC. Instead of a uniform civil code, the policy should move towards a personalized civil code. Personalized amendment. If certain evils are present in a certain religion, the entire structure should not be abolished, or the entire structure should not be amended. Instead, just like in Hinduism, they abolish sati, in the same way any polygamy or women discrimination is being done in any other religion, personalized amendment should be provided for such religion. And I feel like the UCC is not really our voice, because moreover only few representation is present there in the central parliament, and we are having not a single voice we are having there. So it is important to note that it is the voice of the mainland in their propagation by the central government to achieve their ideology and impose that over our sovereignty. The best option, the best choice freedom can give a person, the best thing freedom can give a person is choice. And if India stands for freedom, choice should be given to us to choose what is right for us and what is wrong for us. Thank you.
Now I'll call upon the next speaker from College, who who will speak against the motion, Pangsek Sanma. Pangsek Sanma from Ramadan College.
Respected speakers and judges and all the bodies present here. As you know, I'll be speaking on behalf of UCC and against the motion. Speaking almost coming to the last, it made me feel like a little bit my dear friend has taken all the points, especially after one of my friends misplaced himself and sit next to me. So, moving on. Well, I would like to remember that when I was a kid, I used to take a oath that all Indians are my brothers and sisters, which means we shall see all the Indians and unite as family. We shall all be united as a family with equality and treat equally. So, there are a few points like I would like to highlight whatever my friends have said, like Sarah Bano cases and all. We all know that women empowerment, in the case of Sarah Bano cases, like they are all mistreated and orthodox belief remove that and go against that women's empowerment, human dignities and personal rights. Now I also see that most of my opinion they attack on minorities' rights. So I would like to say that most of us also here may be having misconceptions about UCC. That if we implement UCC, then we'll have to follow the majority dominance rules and that will be implemented. But it's not the same case because main goal of the UCC is to bring a uniform law and take out and remove certain issues like marriages and succession. So I remember even one of my friends also saying that UCC is harmful for state and all that. He is questioning about doesn't read about newspaper. I recently read the newspaper even that Bernard Mara was also saying that it doesn't affect the sixth schedule. So by implementing the UCC, we can see that there are lots of discriminations are done in the name of religion, caste, and society. And I remember my friends telling the UCC interrupting the rights. UCC does not interfere with the rights of any other religions, but instead, it's the ideal approach for the secular Indian society. So we can see here that by implementing UCC, we can have equal rights. For example, I was discussing with my friends before, like religions. In the religions, there's lots of religions that are there, and in every religion there is a flaw. And so I was asking, is in your Hindu religion there is any flaw? But she was not able to answer me. And after discussing that one, we come to know that in Hindu religion, they have mostly eliminated all those things like child marriage and going to the sati. These things need to be removed from our religion. Those which harm our rights. So by implementing UCC, we must come under one law. And I remember my friends also attacking about the laws, We must implement one law in the religion in order to unite as one. Because as we see, due to that religious issue, as we can see in cases of Khalistan and Pakistan supporters in India, we are fighting among ourselves instead of fighting our common enemy. So before I leave this place, I would like to compare that our country has once been divided due to the religion. So in order to avoid such things, we need UCC in our country. So for the betterment of our future generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Pangsek Sama. Now I'll call upon the next speaker, From Shillong College, Katie John Clinton Annal, who will speak for the motion. Katie John Clinton Annal from Shillong College will speak for the motion.
Good morning, Speaker Sir. Good morning to all of you present here. I would like to start with a notion. Do you believe in uniform civil code? Do you really believe in the word uniformity, or do you believe in the word unity and diversity? Mr. Speaker Sir, I have heard a lot of remarks from my worthy opponents. They have mentioned about intercaste, interreligious marriage. They have mentioned about inheritance of properties. They have also mentioned about certain kind of laws which only deals with a specific community without adhering to concern about a different community. Mr. Speaker Sir, Special Marriage Act 1954, it talks about the interreligious marriage, which says if you belong to a Hindu, if you belong to a Muslim, or if you belong to any religious communities, you have the right. You have the right to marry the one that you want to, without practicing any kind of religious rituals that the tradition allows you to. Which means you have to go to the court, and the marriage officer will preside the marriage. That says in the Special Marriage Act 1954, and we can practice, and that has been practiced until today, though it is not mandatory. And you talk about inheritance. The Indian Succession Act, 1925, it talks about two inheritance. First, it talks about testamentary succession, and the second, it talks about intestate succession. Now, in this testamentary succession, it deals with a draft that says will. And what is will? When the owner of the property wants to give his shares to his children and to any of his family, he has to write in a will of how he can share it to. But if there is no will, they have to follow the intestate succession. And this intestate succession talks about when there is no will. When there is no any landowner, for example, if he has passed, that can be dealt according to the religious practice. And that gives a freedom to any religion to practice the inheritance. And who are you, all my worthy opponents, to dictate on how to inherit about properties and how to inherit about all this kind of properties or maintenance? It is definitely against the law that has been enacted. And yes, Mr. Speaker Sir, we should know who is against UCC and who supports UCC. Sorry, but I have to say, the present government who have imposed the 2020 the Farmers' Law, which was a direct violation to the rights of the farmers, which compelled to allot hundreds of farmers who have died, and the same law was revoked and repealed. Why? Because it was a direct violation to the rights of the farmers. When India has the largest transportation of rice, which is a direct humanitarian aid which we give to the foreign countries, why has the government dismayed that? Second, it is the same government who supports Citizenship Amendment Act. Citizenship Amendment Act clearly discriminates the Muslim communities. They were not given citizenship in this country, whereas they were given, some various religions were given citizenship in this country from the neighboring parts of the country. Is that how you justify no discrimination based on caste, creed, sex, religion, place of birth, which is laid down in Article 15? No, Mr. Speaker Sir, that cannot be practiced. The 21st Law Commission of India in 2018, which my opponent, which my client, which my panel has also mentioned clearly, that B.S. Chauhan, quote, he rightly mentioned, UCC cannot be desirable, UCC cannot be compromised. UCC is neither desirable nor necessary at this stage. And the committee further reiterated that the urge to put UCC cannot be compromised with cultural diversity that we have in India. So it is a clear evidence, Mr. Speaker Sir, that the 21st Law Commission of India has done the same thing, which the 32nd Law Commission of India is doing the same now, needing the public opinions, which we have a very limited time, and we can raise our voices saying that we are against UCC and we don't want any draconian law that can be imposed with the practice of Farmers' Law, Citizenship Amendment Act, and so on and so forth. If you want equality for women, if you want equality in diversity, then implement the Women's Reservation Bill 33%, where it has to be implemented in Lok Sabha. And the state legislative assemblies where women will get the right and they can participate in politics. That can be concerned, that can be debated, not UCC in particular. Thank you.
Thank you, DD John Clinton panel. Now we have two more speakers, and I would like to call upon Daphne Lingdo from Jangtia Eastern College, who will speak against the motion. Daphne Lingdo from Jangtia Eastern College against the motion.
Good afternoon to our honored respected speaker and our judges and everyone who are present in this gathering. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am standing here today to oppose the motion which says that Uniform Civil Code is a threat to secularism, plurality, minority rights and religion. As it states that in the Article 44 of the Constitution, which says, the state shall endeavour to secure the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. I believe that UCC is important for the national integrity and for the equality of genders and religion. According to me, this personal law based on religion sometimes can lead to discriminatory, especially against women. Example, like the women of the Muslim women cannot claim same maintenance or opportunity as the rest of the Indian women. And also the practice of polygamy. Is that illegal to marry 4 women? And also, is that illegal to marry under the age of 18 years? I think that is totally wrong. And to get rid of that practice, UCC is important. Apart from that, UCC will also make our secularism strengthen our secularism in India, and it will also make legislation easier, and it will also bring the same set of law for the different religion. As a nation, we all are expected to be governed by the same set of law. Mr. Speaker, sir, UCC will rather strengthen the democratic principle of our nation, and also it will help us to get rid of those practices which brings inequality in terms of among sexes, in terms of inheritance of property, and it will definitely empower women throughout the nation. I think UCC is important because national interest comes on the very top, and human rights of individual is very important, and the dignity of individual also is very important. By bringing up UCC, desired result can be achieved. And also in terms of marriage, uniformity does not mean that everyone has to take 7 rounds as the Hindu religion. Uniformity in the sense of marriage means that everyone should register their marriage. And also in terms of divorce. Everyone should follow the rules or law to get divorce, because divorce cannot be done by just saying 3 times talaq, talaq, talaq. And also in terms of religion, it does not mean that to convert everyone, every individual, every citizen into Hinduism. It doesn't mean that. It just means, as many of us are saying that it is a Hindu act. It is not like that. It just meant to bring the same set of law for every individual. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think as Dr. Ambedkar, the chairman of drafting committee of our constitution, who believed that UCC is necessary for to promote national integration and equality, was not wrong. When it comes to this, we should come out from our narrow-mindedness, and break the status quo, and think not as an Hindus or Muslim or Christian, but as Indian. Therefore, I strongly support UCC for the development of our people and nation. Thank you, each one of us. Long live India.
Thank you, prevailing law. Like I said, we have the last speaker, and then after this, as mentioned earlier, the leader of the opposition will be given 1 minute for rebuttal. I'll call the last speaker. Last speaker is also from Atiar Eastern College, Eliezer Rumbui, who will speak for the motion.
Hello, good evening to all speakers, sir, to Honorable Minister of Meghalaya and member of UDP, and to all who present here inside this hall. My name is Eliezer Rumbui. I am a student of Atiar Eastern College, Kyrwoh, Atiar district. Right now, I am the last one who will stand here, and I will flow all the point like the river flow from Shillong till it reach the grassland of Bangladesh. Then I am standing here on a motion of debate which says uniform school code is a threat to secularism, minority, plurality, rights and religion. UCC for me is just a political motivation to popularize voter because the general election is knocking at the door. Having said that, we should not forget how the government of the day, when they try to implement the CAB or CAA, they play many emotions of the people. For me, the UCC is a legal plan to break our cultural diversity and religious. For us as a Christian, do you think it's easier for us to follow the Hindu deity, a Muslim, a Sikhism, a Buddhism, a Jainism? Do you think it's easy for them to follow to worship Hindu God? Do you think it's easier for us a Kasi to follow this patrilineal system of lineage? It would create kasangkaman haki korbankan. It would create and it's easy for tradition and custom of inheritance from Kuntado. When they implement UCC, all the inheritance will get by the eldest son. Even among the Hindus also, it's easy for Brahmin to share the same as Sudras, Shaitras, Vaishyas. I think if they implement this UCC, it will create a civil war for one religion, another religion. A matrilineal system will fight for a civil war with a patrilineal system. No more Bibu, no more Bangala, no more Islam, no more Pop, no more milk, no more beef, only Alu Sabji we will eat. Then the interesting part is that for somebody who have a girlfriend out of pure love, they will have to break up. Why? Because of UCC. We have to do arranged marriage. So, thank you.
Thank you, Eliezer Rumbui from Atiar Eastern College. Now I will give an opportunity to the leader of opposition. 1 minute time for rebuttal. Just 1 minute time for rebuttal. And like I said, this will not be counted. Okay.
Thank you.
Just to record.
Audience here, I am very sure, I am damn sure that my oppositions are going through the whole UGC draft bill, and that's why they know everything is going away, everything is turning away from the India, from custom and all. And many of them are saying that UCC is not possible, one law is not possible. If one law is not possible, then how we are following the Constitution of India, which itself is a one law only? How we can follow like this? You just imagine, they are also mentioning points like that. In 2018, Law Commission of India mentioned that it's neither necessary. But are they agree when if next election commission, independent commission will introduce UCC? Will they agree? Why not they are stressing on the point made by Supreme Court on Josh Polo case in 2019, saying that Goa is a shining example
gentlemen, we have almost come to the end of this debate. We are awaiting the speech, the talk from our special guest speaker also, Rudy Marjorie. I think we are going to surely get some more valuable insights from the speaker. Well, I think we should give a round of applause to all the speakers here, the debaters. Different organizations, stakeholders, across the countries are deliberating on this. And I'm glad that our young minds also have spoken out today. Although there's a lot of conflicting reactions from both the sides, but I think we as the audience also are learning so much from the points that you have shared in this very important debate program that we're having. As we're all aware that when we talk about, a debating society, I think it is good that we as young people are opening our mouth, are voicing our concern, are voicing what we have inside us. Because many a time when we talk about the different issues that is plaguing society, we will all sing chorus. If one says yes, everybody will say yes. If one says no, everybody will say no. But this kind of an intellectual engagement, where young people are given the opportunity to use their reasoning, their critical thinking to present to the people, to present to the audience what is in their thought, what is in their thought process. I think this kind of an academic discourse is very, very much essential in shaping the thought process and the analytical mind of the young people, so that the general public also will understand what this UCC is all about. Well, as a party, let me tell you, we have been deliberating about this issue for quite some time. We had wanted to have this debate, in fact, and we have also thought about giving our opinion to the National Commission, because National Commission is also soliciting views and opinions from different stakeholders. But let me admit this, that when we look at the debates that is going on and the points that is being raised, even here, in this debating, this program today, there are so many things which are very conflicting. Many things are not very clear. A mention is made by some of you about Article 44 that is there in the Constitution of India, right, which states that the state shall endeavor to secure a UCC for its citizens. Why in the Constitution of India? And I believe that private members' bill also has been tabled in Parliament. But now there is this proposition of implementing this UCC in the entire country. We don't know exactly about the status of this Uniform Civil Code, but it is good that we are debating over this. There are plus, there are minuses. Some have said that Uniform Civil Code will promote national integration and social cohesion. It will address the issue of individual and gender equality, individual rights, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, there are also the minuses which talks about discrimination. which talks about raising the issues of concern about religious freedom and so on and so forth. So there are many, many things which are, there as far as the UCC is concerned. But I would like to appreciate, the young minds here who have shared your valuable thoughts, valuable insights. And I think we are more enlightened now with all the viewpoints that you have shared, you have given us. And I hope that we'll be able to articulate more, to get a better insight about what this UCC is all about. Well, while the judges are, tabulating the points, I would like to, before I call Rudy Warjui to the stage to give his thoughts, I would like to request if, from the judges' side, if they would like to share a few thoughts with us, maybe you can come forward and just share a few thoughts with us with regards to this UCC. Just a few minutes. Yeah. Or you can come on stage, please. It'll be nice. I think the audience also would like to see your face. We have Kyrwoh, who is an advocate in the High Court and also Secretary of the Shillong Bar Association.
Should I still address the chair as a speaker, or is it?
If you wish. Not necessarily.
First and foremost, good afternoon to everyone present here. Especially, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude for allowing me to be part of this program. Even though in a short notice, I somewhat agreed myself to be present here because I know the topic of discussion that we are having here is one that is very controversial. Many are not having a clarity as to what UCC is really, the actuality of it. Even till now, the topic, yes, UCC, but what is UCC? What is the subject matter of it? Yes, the debate, the contestants have mentioned about the Constituent Assembly debate that happened before the adoption of the Indian Constitution that happened in 1947. The debate as to there should be a common civil code with regard to the laws governing the family laws of the citizen. Because yes, as rightly mentioned by some participants, that because some of the family laws that were prevailing in India at that time were kind of a social evil, where there are a lot of disparities, there are a lot of discrimination when it comes to gender, sex, caste, creed. So there was a debate going on. So actually this, for a UCC to really come into the picture, it should only come through a debate like this, like what had happened in the Constituent Assembly, where the proposal for UCC was raised by Dr. Ambedkar. But however, it was turned down. Because why? There was a debate, like whether it is soothing or not at that particular time, where in India, just like we have a uniform criminal code, to also have a uniform civil code. So a debate happened, a lot of views were called in from various communities, from various sections of the society, considering the minorities also, and it was finally decided that okay, a time will come where maybe those laws, those family laws whom the community feels like this is no longer required, maybe a survey will be conducted and it will be weed out. All those laws which are not relevant anymore, those will be weed out, and maybe a proposal for a uniform civil code for that particular subject will come. So at that time, during the Constituent Assembly, that debate was going on. That's why UCC could not succeed at that point of time. There was no attempt to even draft the UCC with a subject, but however, it got a space in the Indian Constitution in the form of Article 44, where it was agreed that yes, as a nation, we need to have a law of such nature, but it should be the state. We should endeavor at one point of time that there should be a law, a uniform civil code in the country. So that means a UCC will not come by the will and the wish of a single particular political party or a group of people. It will come and it will happen. It might not be today, tomorrow, 10 years, 20 years, might be 100 years or 200 years, when the people of this country finally decides in unison that for this particular subject, let there be a UCC. In my opinion, when it comes to personal laws, I feel UCC should start from each individual states. For example, now we have a law of inheritance, which is also a subject matter that will be included under the UCC if the UCC comes into place. If you look at the inheritance law, even though now in our society, by custom, because custom is also a law under the Constitution of India, by custom, the inheritance will be inherited by the youngest daughter. If there is no will, no gift, no nothing, so it will go to the youngest daughter. But these days, what we can see, because laws are basically meant for whom? For the people, to suit our way of life. Laws are not meant for anyone, but it is for us. So people in our society, I've noticed many times through my profession also, that because they know that by custom, if I don't make any arrangement for my offspring, for my children, only the youngest girl child will get. So now what they do is, before they, at that aged stage, okay, maybe my time, anytime I might go. So what to do? I will make an arrangement. I will make an equal share of the property. So these type of mindsets have started to come. Even in our community, we are a minority, tribal community, but still such type of change has come. So that is UCC as per the Constitution. That the state shall endeavor. We will endeavor. It's not that the state should bring, but the state should endeavor. So when will that happen? When people started to have that acceptance that yes, on this particular subject maybe, because UCC will not come as one law and it will cover everything, divorce, marriage, inheritance. No, it's not like that. One step at a time. And so this is my personal feeling on this subject, where when we talk about UCC, it is something that it is for us as a society. If we as a society feel like yes, this particular personal law, it is draconian to us, or to the present-day context, maybe we can remove it. So, and a census will come. That's why that particular bill which have been moved in the Parliament, it's a private bill moved by one MP from Rajasthan. Even in that particular bill, the purpose of that bill was to set a committee to go and from every nook and corner of the country to go and find out what are the personal laws doing. Are they really functioning very well? Are they blessing to the present day, or are they a curse now? Maybe once upon a time it's a blessing, like when it comes to child marriage at that time maybe take it. But then the present day context where right to education is being extended, even the girl child, not unlike earlier, were girl child in Meghalaya, they were not allowed. They were trained to be the housemaker. So such type of things. So I think so these things I would like to just continue.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kyrwoh, for this very valuable insights that you have. You being from the legal background. Any more of the judges, if one of you would like to share before we? Okay. We will. I think we'll be serving tea also. So a short while from now. So kindly bear with us for some more time.
Okay, I'll take a nuanced view on the entire debate. First, let me thank UDP, the State Youth Wing, for inviting us. It has been a very enlightening moment for me, primarily because I come from the science background. So these things are completely new. Though we see the ongoing debate on several platforms, but I've never seriously looked at it in a very serious way. I congratulate the students for for a very quality debate, both for and against, and that is a good sign. That's a healthy sign for the state. If the youth of our state, they can engage in a very exciting debate. I think I'll take a lighter view. My colleague has already given a very legal view on the entire UCC, but I'll take a very light view. You see, I'm a Christian married to a Hindu. I don't know what laws we follow, whether I am an outlaw or an in-law. Because for the last 35 years, I've never had issue. We've never had issue. Primarily because I think it comes from the educational background that my wife is a PhD, she's a professor, I'm a PhD, I'm a professor. It's a question of respecting personal spaces. I respect her space. I don't impose my Christianity to her. The moment I do that, there will be war, and vice versa. So if I respect a woman, and she respects a man, irrespective of the religious affiliation, even the language is different. But I'm happy we have a son who speaks both languages, Assamese and Khasi, and he's the better man for it. So in all this, what I actually learned, that when you impose anything on anybody, there will be conflict, there will be reaction, there will be responses. I think what my fellow judge has, judge has said, that we evolve as a society, as a nation. We transition. In that process, we have to make changes. Changes will come. 40 years back, our speaker here and speaking there, we grew up in a totally different environment and ecosystem. But we've changed. I think we should not be totally paranoid about change. But question is, when and where? It's always a question of timing. So I agree with you, my friend, that we have to be prepared for change. When, where, how? That's the big question. Thank you.
Once again, I think you have shared something which is very personal to you also. I think it's for us also, there's something to learn from what you've shared just now. Now, Professor Namak, would you like to say a few words?
Mr. Speaker, sir, and everyone present here. First of all, I would like to congratulate the debaters, those who are in favor of the motion and those who are against. It has been a pleasure for me to be here today. In fact, it was pretty much a very busy week this week, but then when Dr. Jemino Mouthwall requested me to come, I made it a point to come here today, this afternoon.
Thank you.
I hope that everyone present here have been enjoying, as I have been, listening to the excellent and healthy debates presented, raised by a young generation. I should appreciate them for the points that they have raised and the concerns that the society is facing. I hope that the citizens of the state also will be, enlightened while listening to the excellent points raised by both the sides. The issue that we are facing today is very dangerous, as I should say. We are landing at crossroads. Everyone is not very certain about a future. So we have to take this issue very seriously. I congratulate the party leadership for conducting a very meaningful and healthy program like this. And I hope that with the leadership of able leaders like Pynlong, our ministers, Makerman, the MLAs, our very learned General Secretary, Dr. Jemino Mouthwall. I think these types of programs will be and should be organized from time to time to debate the various issues that the state and the country is facing today. Only these few words, I congratulate everyone who has been part of this program and who have been able to contribute to make this program a grand success.
Thank you, Professor Namlan. So shall we give a round of applause once again to all the three judges for sharing this knowledge and for being with us today. Thank you so much. So now we have come to almost the end, except for for Bahrudi Watri, who will be enlightening us more on this very important topic.
of course, I must thank the youth wing for, Jimino in particular, of course, for reaching to me to come here and say some things about this UCC. But I must say, listening to these young debaters, I have learned a lot myself, and they have certainly made my job easier. So I have picked up a lot of points from them, which may be a repetition also. And in fact, I was quite impressed with some of the young ladies debaters. I think the UDP should consider making them candidates in the next elections. Seriously. So, especially in a matrilineal society like among the Khasis, it's a shame, in fact, that there are very few women legislators. Now, before I come to the UCC, I thought, given my professional background and exposure which I've had in my job for a very long time, for almost 36 years, so it's only appropriate that I say something about what other countries feel or do on subjects like marriages and inheritance and all other civil laws. So I will say something, for instance, now let me say something about the United States, because it's also a democracy like India. And it's very interesting about the United States, because especially when it comes to these laws, each state has their own laws. It's very important. Now there are very, very so-called progressive states like New York, like California. They are very liberal on same-sex marriages. But then you have very conservative states also, who are extremely against it. Abortion is a very big issue in the United States. So you have these diversities even though United States, it is, compared to India, the diversity of United States is, at the end of the day, they all speak English there. It's not so much like India. So all the more for the challenging for India, for a country like India, because it's so diverse in all respect. Now, even if you look, so you have the United States where, let's say, because increasingly this feeling about the US is that what has happened to the native, so-called Native Americans, or increasingly over the years things have changed, and these communities are recognized as separate entities on their own. They even call domestic nations, they use the word nations in fact. So now because most of them have practices like fishing rights, hunting, land question is a big question. Even things like, drinking, for instance, alcohol drinking, or leave alone things like marriages and other things. So it becomes quite a conflict also in some respect, because you have, for instance, the US laws, overall national laws when it comes to children. So children where parents are not in a position to take care of them properly, these children, they are taken away by the state, to be taken care by the state or by foster parents. Now this is something very conflicting with the Native Americans, because no matter what, whether they are poor or rich, the children have to be with their parents, irrespective of how they live. So you have these situations like that also there. Now similar is the case in Canada, of course. Even there we have Native Americans. Now I was in Latin America, and in fact because I served there and I traveled there, and so they have similar situations with regard to Native Americans, Indians there. And increasingly with democracy coming in, the more democratization takes place in society, the more recognition is there for these, call them indigenous rights. So that is something which is very important now. But then you have a situation like in Brazil recently, where the indigenous Indians, in the Amazon especially, because you have this government in Brazil, in the center, who want to sell this land to big multinationals for doing a lot of exploring or exploiting the minerals or whatever is there. And it's becoming something which is for them to stand up and protest that please do not interfere with this, and they have got support all over the world, in fact, because they are the people who are concerned with climate change also. Because when you do so much of deforestation, it affects the climate change in a big way. So you have these situations now in these countries, and now I must tell you something that somebody, in fact, all of the debaters, I'm glad, mentioned about what happened at the UN. There is a very important resolution which the UN made, United Nations, on the rights of the indigenous population. This was done in 2007. And India voted for that. I think you should know this, on the rights. But India put a caveat there, which says that provided on condition that all the citizens of India are indigenous. This is the catch. It's interesting, in fact, in the past, when you want to talk about the indigenous population in India, the tendency from the government of India was not to discuss about it. But increasingly you find today, things have changed so much by themselves or by default or by design. This so-called indigenous word is being used increasingly. I see, in fact, the Chief Minister in Assam, he does it very openly, and in fact at the central level, where they say that the rights of the indigenous will not be affected, especially when this whole controversy about the UCC is coming in. So these are some of the norms which is happening. Now, coming to the UCC, now here is where I'll give you my opinions or my comments. Now, to me, why has this situation become so controversial? Because there's so much, the atmosphere has been so vitiated. I think in some respect it's becoming very hostile by one community against the other. I am glad, in fact, if you use the word uniform, that means you really have to say that uniformly everybody is the same and we will use this one law. And that's about it. Whether it works or doesn't work, that's a different matter. Now, increasingly, I think everybody was mentioning about Article 44, about UCC mentioned in Article 44, which is correct, but this is to endeavor, it's aspirational. But don't forget that in the same article, there are even more pressing things which the government or the system has to take care of. Now, for instance, the right to adequate livelihood. Let's not forget that India, 800 million of the population survive on welfare. 800 million survive on subsidized supply of rice by the government, or atta or wheat, whatever it is. So it doesn't reflect very well. That means a large majority of the population are still at that level, which the point I'm trying to make is that there are more pressing concerns about addressing rather than just UCC per se. So this is something which we have to debate about. Please do not push the UCC for a particular purpose, a particular agenda. It doesn't work. India is a very, very diverse country and a very complex country. In fact, to me, having worked abroad in many countries, in many continents, there is no diverse country in the world, including China, in fact. It's the most diverse in terms of languages, dialects. I mean, you can well imagine there are 23 official languages in the Constitution of India. 23 recognized. I hope Kasi will be one of them also very shortly. So this is where the situation is, and so you have to meddle with this subject. Anything to do with civil laws in India, you have to approach very, very carefully. Otherwise, it can create a lot of problems, because India has other problems to attend which are more pressing. Now, the other thing about, I'm glad somebody, but at the same time, somebody mentioned the Shavano case. I think a thing like that makes sense. So you have, where you need to do is basically specific legislation for specific situations. Now, for instance, somebody mentioned about Khasi system, that only the, the females from in the family have to get have to get the inheritance. I think this is something which is being debated here, and I hope a change takes place. It makes sense. It cannot remain the same. So this is something which specific legislations is required for specific situations. It can be to Muslim community, it can be to Christian community, it can be to Hindu community itself. So let's not use this word uniform for the sake of being uniform. It doesn't work. And the other things I think is, suppose now hypothetically the centre goes ahead and passes a bill in parliament. At the state level, at the district level, at the grassroots level, can be implemented. I don't think it can be done. The only thing, now I'll give you the example of China. China voted for this right of indigenous population in the UN. But they are the people, when they want to impose a law on the population, it's the same law for everybody. They don't care whether you're indigenous or not indigenous. Now you can do something like that in a country like China, because it's a totalitarian, authoritarian country. You cannot do that in India. So these are the challenges which we have to accept. Otherwise, we are playing with fire. Now, another thing which I want to put across is this, about the Constitution of India. A lot of these debaters mentioned about the Constitution of India. Now, here this is where I want us to understand, because I myself, when I got exposed abroad, I read a lot about India itself. In fact, I learned to understand India better after having been abroad. So I tried to distinguish between Hinduism and Hindutva. There is a distinction. Now, if you look at the Constitution of India, to a large extent it comes from the way Hinduism has been considered all through the, call it 1,000, 2,000 years has evolved all through. And that is why, before I conclude in the end, I will mention something which, so you have one of the reasons for us abroad, why Mahatma Gandhi is well respected abroad. Now, Mahatma Gandhi was considered to be a devout Hindu. But at the same time, why was he respected? Even worshipped by some, in fact. And his statues, his busts are practically in every city of the world. So, why is that? Because he represents something which is unique about India. It is, India is an experiment by itself. And there is, in India, you cannot mix religion, culture together with nation and state. There is a distinction there. So we have to treat very carefully. This is the fine line we have to do it. And I say this because I represented India, and that was the kind of India I represented. And now, in fact, before I conclude, I just want to say something about, I want to read some lines from, this is by Khalil Gibran. I don't know whether you heard of him. He was an Arabic, basically, a poet. But this was translated by Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Now this applies in some way to all of us who are trying to serve the public, who are public leaders also. It says like this: pity the nation whose people are sheep and whose shepherds mislead them. Pity the nation whose leaders are liars, whose sages are silence, and whose bigots horn the airwaves. Now I want to take one thing from here. Whose sages are silence? Sages, the word sages is very important. Now since the word sages here has been picked up, now who is the iconic sage for the Hinduism? It's Swami Vivekananda. And what did Swami Vivekananda say? He said, I am proud to belong to a religion which has taught the world tolerance and universal acceptance. This is what his words are. Now that is what Hinduism is all about. If you want to know more about Savarkar, you can read. There's so much being talked about it, about Hindutva. And I myself, for one, I believe in the Constitution of India, which I extended. I have been working for that. And then this is it, what I would like, that if we have to do anything with the civil laws in India, it has to be specific legislations for specific situations and cases. Thank you very much.
May I now request the President of the United Democratic Party, Meghalaya, also the Chair of the Planning Commission, to kindly felicitate our guest speaker with a memento. Kyrwoh, the President of the Women's Wing of UDP, to kindly come forward. As we call in the names, kindly come forward and receive your certificate. May I call on Badonbor Marnian to kindly come forward, followed by Pynlong from Shillong College. From Shillong College to kindly come forward. One minute of the time. Pius Marvin Emily to kindly come forward. I request Eliza Rumboy and Daphne Lindor from Ïaka Eastern College to kindly come forward. Shri Balaji Sunrem to kindly come forward, sir. I request Morantis Silla and Dhanishwar Devnath of Shillong Law College to kindly come forward. I also request Devakar Sarkar of Shillong College, of St. Anthony's College, to kindly come forward. Devakar Sarkar. Ishwar Sarkar. Okay, thank you, sir. May I now request Shri Runnington Tongkar MLA to kindly come forward. I request Pinskim L. Maunai, Barisha Kar Sotun, and Daniela D. Rumbai to kindly come forward. I once again request Shri Runnington sir to kindly stay put as we will be felicitating the stirrer of our debate competition, Dr. Jamina Walther, for excellently conducting the debate competition with the bouquet of flowers. May I once again now request the President of the Youth Wing, Shri Kyrwoh sir, to kindly come forward as he will be felicitating the President of the United Democratic Party, Meghalaya, Shri Medha Lindor, with a bouquet of flowers. Ladies and gentlemen, your much awaited time has come where we will be declaring in a while the winners of the debate competition. May I request Shri Medha Lindor sir to kindly come onto the dais as we will be declaring the results of the debate competition. So the third prize in this debate competition, any guesses? College at least? I think that was a wild guess, but I think it is true. The third prize goes to K.L. John Clinton of Shillong Mail. Please come forward and receive. For the second prize, any guesses again? Miss D.R. Sinha, Radnapur College. And the first prize goes to Meghalaya of St. Anthony's College. A louder round of applause, everyone. I may also now call upon Debakar Sarkar, who has also been awarded the Consolation Prize, if you're around. From St. Anthony's College.